Hello my friends, I hope you're doing well. It's been 10 months since my last NES Classic review. It's hard to believe it's been that long since I last experienced Balloon Fight, but I think it's fair that Ghosts and Goblins took me a while given its reputation. But 10 months I know seems a little extreme. However, I actually beat the game and recorded it a while ago. I just figured it would make the perfect Halloween video. Things don't always work out. Yeah, something came up at the last minute and I couldn't make the video in time for Halloween. So instead, I present to you Ghosts and Goblins, a Hydrated Gaming Thanksgiving holiday special. Ghosts and Goblins is one of those famous NES games that I never played for more than 5 seconds. I remember booting it up, hitting the jump button, witnessing the crustiest jump known to man, and then going to play something else. But this game's difficulty was always so legendary, and I'd always wanted to be a legendary gamer. So I'd always come back to it every now and then for 5-second intervals to check if the game still sucked. I think I made it as far as the first red Arimer, and that was it, until this review. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What exactly is Ghosts and Goblins? Well, according to Wikipedia, ghosts are the soul or spirit of a dead person or non-human animal that is believed by some to be able to appear to the living, while a goblin is a small, grotesque, monstrous humanoid creature that appears in the folklore of multiple European cultures. Lastly, the letter N, or N, is the 14th letter of the Latin alphabet, used in the modern English alphabet, the alphabets of other Western European languages, and others worldwide. Its English name is N. Thank you, Wikipedia. Put those three things together and you get Ghosts and Goblins, a 1985 Capcom-published arcade game created by Tokuro Fujiwara. And this guy is kind of a big deal judging by his creative history. He would later go on to assist with such heavy hitters as Mega Man, DuckTales, Resident Evil, Toomba, and even The Little Mermaid on the NES, which yes, I have beaten. What's also cool about this guy is that 35 years later in 2021 he was still active in developing the series with the most recent entry, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. That is awesome.
You know what else is awesome about him? He gets to celebrate Thanksgiving every year too, because like in many other countries outside the US, Thanksgiving is also a holiday in Japan. Happy Thanksgiving!
Ghosts and Goblins, like many early NES games, was originally an arcade game. The NES version was a demake/port of the original. I did try the arcade version on my PS5 through Capcom Arcade Stadium, and no thank you. I don't know if it's my TV, the controller I was using, the emulation, or just the original game, but this handled way worse somehow. I could not get Sir Arthur to turn around for the life of me. I couldn't even get past level 2, despite the fact that I can now beat the NES version with not much effort, but more on that later. I'm not sure discussing the arcade version is even worth it, because I think when most people think about Ghosts and Goblins, the NES game is what comes to mind. So let's get into that and not dwell anymore on the $2 that I wasted on this. The game opens with the dramatic scene of Sir Arthur and his girlfriend going on a romantic date to the graveyard, as one does, when suddenly this red fat guy swings in and kidnaps his girlfriend. I know he's supposed to look scary, but he just looks like a smiling fat hairy man to me. The sprite just looks so funny to me, I can't take it seriously. But that's about it in terms of story, go get your girl back. To do this, you'll need to travel through 6 different stages, each of which is broken up by a checkpoint in the middle, so basically it's 12 stages. And I just saw a speedrun for one loop of the game done in 10 minutes, so the game itself isn't very long. But you'll probably spend about 15 hours trying to get through that 10 minutes because the game is quite hard. Yep, you heard that right, Ghosts and Goblins is on the difficult side of things. That groundbreaking fact is the kind of content you can only find here on Hydrated Gaming. But that said, I don't really think it lives up to its reputation of being next to impossible. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't easy, but I employed a few strategies that made it not so bad. First, if you're having a tough time, I recommend you do what I did and place some save states right before the area that's giving you trouble, practice it until you're comfortable, and then restart the level at the beginning so you get the same sense of pride and accomplishment of beating it all the way through. My next tip is probably the most important though, because it fixes the worst part of the game. See, my biggest issue with Ghosts and Goblins is actually the exact same problem I had with the Doritos game I reviewed in my last video. Every time you die, you have to watch this 5-second cutscene of the map. This is horrible design. I don't know if this had to be here because the game is loading or something, but you're going to spend so much time listening to this jingle that you're going to hear it when it's no longer coming through your speakers. So I suggest playing on some sort of emulator, and before every level or after every checkpoint, slap down a save state so you can skip this. I know save states are controversial in retro games, and I see both sides of the argument, but I come down in the middle. I think if you use them for practice and to skip things like this 5-second intro, they're pretty good. If you use them every 5 seconds to crawl through the game, that's not going to make things fun and rewarding for you when you play these old titles. So those are my 2 tips that I think you should know going into the game. Oh, and also get the knife. But as for the levels themselves, well, let's get into it. The first level is a good way of easing you into the game. You start with these zombies that just randomly spawn from the ground and walk in one direction. Easy to dodge and easy to shoot, and these are what you're going to grind away at until you unlock the legendary knife power-up that I had mentioned. Each of the power-ups have their uses, but the get the knife meme doesn't exist without good reason. It's basically just a faster version of the default weapon. Once you have this, you'll come across what's probably the most infamous enemy in these games, the Red Aramer. A villain so reprehensible, the literal Avengers would later be called in to try to stop him. These guys react to your movements and seemingly read your mind. When you first come across them, you're gonna have no idea what to do to get past them. I'll let you in on a little secret though. If you want to beat these guys every time, all you have to do is master the fabled backwards jump. Hit them twice before they get airborne, do one back jump attack, and they'll be destroyed without fail. After a little mild platforming past the forest of wild burritos, you'll face off against a final troll boss who isn't too hard but is seemingly random in his movements, which isn't a big deal here, but let's remember that fact for later. Once you beat him, you get a key and you're through the first level. Like I said earlier, level 1 is pretty fun and good at teaching you how to play the game. The second level starts with some platforming, which isn't too noteworthy, but then you come face to face with these guys, and they are damage sponges and they are everywhere. The only trick to beating them is to spam the attack button as fast as possible, which really did a number on my hand. I had to Google what was happening, and I think I had developed Nintendo thumb from playing this level. It went away after a few days and hasn't been back since, but still, this level is a literal health hazard. Of all the levels in this game, besides the last one, this section is what gave me the toughest time. At the end of the level, you fight 2 trolls this time instead of just 1, and then you go on. Level 3 is most notable for being full of the Red Aramers, so it's here your backwards jump skills will be put to the test. Make sure you Google where all the hidden armors are, and with enough practice you'll make it to the end. Level 3 is actually what I think represents Ghosts and Goblins at its best. It's hard, but there's not a lot of randomness here. The enemies are in the same spots every time, and the same strategies will work to defeat them every time. The dragon enemy also has a fixed non-random pattern, making it a fun and fair fight. So I really enjoyed the challenge here. Level 4 is mainly just platforming, which is more annoying than difficult because you have to wait for them to move in the way that you want them to go, and then you just fight the dragon enemy again from level 3. This level's kinda whatever, if you ask me. Also, don't touch that fire, it's hot.
Speaking of hot, always remember to check the internal temperature of your turkey to match the FDA's current recommendations for cooking. A reliable turkey meat thermometer will make sure your family stays healthy and happy for the holidays. And all year round as well. Happy Thanksgiving!
Level 5 bumps up the difficulty a little bit more with the return of the randomly spawning flying burritos, featuring this incredible sound that you get to hear again and again. You just need to find and consistently attempt a path until you master it, as there's many different ways you can go. Be wary of the dead ends, however. The trolls from level 2 are back to give you some extra carpal tunnel, and at the end of the stage you fight a clone of the fat guy who kidnapped your girlfriend. His pattern is pretty easy too. Level 6, the last main level. This is the final test of your Ghosts and Goblins skills, and probably where I spent half of my playtime. This level is a marathon of all the previous enemies and bosses you've fought before, and that sounds awesome, but my big issue with this level is the RNG involved. Right at the beginning you fight the troll monster from level 1, and if he decides to charge you, you just die. The dragon you fight next is consistent enough, but you're probably going to have to use the shield to beat him because he's immune to the javelin. The shield blocks projectiles, but it's extremely short range, so it'll take some getting used to. From here, the game drops the fireball weapon, which you need to jump over, because if you don't finish the stage with the cross shield, you get sent back to level 5. Not level 6, mind you, level 5. That's right, the final boss, the devil, can only be beaten with the cross. Now that is very based. Also, thankfully I already knew that I needed the shield before I played this game, so I didn't have to see this for myself.
One thing you will want to see for yourself, though, is the taste of my homemade Oreo peanut butter pie. I'm bringing it with to our family Thanksgiving dinner that we were invited to. Remember, it's always polite to ask if you can help bring a dish when you're a guest in someone's home. Happy Thanksgiving.
After beating up the dragon, you'll dance below the ladder of more trolls until they decide to walk in the correct direction. You'll also need to be careful not to somehow spawn the skeleton above you, which has to be a glitch. I have no idea how I woke that thing up, especially when it can sleep through the sounds of these screaming burritos. But you can't take too long being careful, remember, as you still have to fire at the trolls as fast as you can, no matter the cost.
Speaking of fast as you can, always remember to be on time for the meal. Ask ahead when you should arrive, especially if your dish needs to be heated up before being served. Happy Thanksgiving!
You also have to do this without waking up any of the Red Aramers that guard the sides of the towers. One of them is unavoidable, so you're going to want to keep your armor for as long as possible, especially because you'll be fighting with the shield. And once again, make sure you know all the hidden armor drop points before you attempt this. Make sure you use an online guide to know where all these are. But even if you manage to do everything perfectly, there's always a chance one of these burritos will just spawn on top of you and ruin your perfect run. And this is the weakest part of the game. The RNG in level 6 is just terrible. The big troll at the start decides to charge you, dead. The little trolls decide not to move the correct way on the ladders, delayed. The dumb skeleton decides now would be a good time to get up for no reason at all, you lose. Another burrito decides it's time to spawn right where you're standing, game over, buddy. Level 6 is basically like going to the casino. And just like when you go to the casino, the only thing that works is you just have to keep playing until you win. Now it seems like a good time to mention that these stages also have a time limit, so you can't take too long dealing with all this, remember? All these things combined and the randomness just becomes too much until you've really mastered your route. It's doable, but the learning process is pretty frustrating. I especially despise the ghost burritos. I mean, just look at this. Wow, thanks.
Did someone say thanks?
After finally making it up the tower, you face off against 2 more fat guys. Pro tip, be careful not to trigger the one on the right by maintaining your distance so you can fight them off one at a time. After this, you finally fight the final boss, who is a total pushover. But then you get one last middle finger from the game in the form of the message that the room was just an illusion and you need to play through the whole game over again. I remember finally making it through level 6, seeing that and thinking, no, I'm done. I beat the game. So I turned it off and considered it a job well done. But then the voices in my head, no, not those ones, the other ones, told me that I wasn't a real gamer unless I did it. So I did, and gamers, let me tell you, the second loop through Ghosts and Goblins was kinda easy. I'm pretty sure the only thing that changes are the frequency of the random spawns. That means more zombies in level 1, more crows in level 2, and more burritos in level 5 and 6. The crows in level 2 did give me a significantly harder time, but stages 3 and 4 were basically just the same as they were before. And stage 5 had more burritos, yeah, but I beat it on my first try. I think I had just really mastered my route by then. Level 6 took me a bit like last time, and again was made harder by the increased enemy spawns, but I actually had fun with it. I think during my first loop I had learned how to deal with all the unfair crap that the game threw at you, so with my second loop I honestly found an appreciation for the game that wasn't there the first time. I was having a lot of fun. I had mastered Ghosts and Goblins. I beat the second loop and got the real ending without much trouble, and then realized I was truly thankful for the experience. I like Ghosts and Goblins. It's not a perfect game by any means. Its difficulty in stage 6 is way too RNG based, but what I had written down after my second loop is that Ghosts and Goblins is, and I quote, kind of like a rustic coffee table. It's imperfect and beat up, but that's also what gives it personality. Too perfect can be boring. And I kinda stand by that. This game has a reputation of being downright unfair at times, but there's still a good game in here. And this whole combination is a lot of fun. The RNG jank is just part of the allure. I knew what I was getting into when I played this, and I think because of that I could find some enjoyment in it. You have to be in a certain mood to play this kind of game. That may sound crazy, and it probably is, but that's what I think. And now the whole world will know from this day forth that HydratedGaming has strength. Yeah, I had fun with Ghosts and Goblins, and I'll just say it. I'm thankful that I played it. With all that said, allow me to say first how thankful I am for each and every one of you watching this, and allow me to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving from us here at the gaming family. And stay hydrated.